Hi students, I'm happy to be back with another video, which is the fifth and last essay of Class 11 Compulsory English book, Unit 37. And the topic of our today's essay is Scientific Research is a Token of Humankind's Survival, written by Vladimir Keilis-Borok. Vladimir Keilis-Borok was born in 1921 and he died in 2013. He was a Russian mathematical, geophysicist, and seismologist. We know that seismology deals with the science of earthquake. He taught at the University of California, Los Angeles. He was the research group leader of the International Institute for Earthquake Prediction Theory and Mathematical Geophysics at Russian Academy of Science. He was also co-director and founder of the research program on nonlinear dynamics and earthquake prediction of the Abd Salam International Center for Theoretical Physics at Trist. In the essay, Scientific Research is a Token of Humankind's Survival, Keilis-Borok says about his profession as a scientist and views that science is the humankind's indispensable guardian and caretaker, which means in simple language that science is for the betterment of humankind. I'll try my best to explain this lesson in simple English. In this lesson, the writer talks about a popular expression or saying which is actually directed to the scientists. If you are so clever, why are you so poor? Because this is also a reality that scientists, they don't earn as much as the business people or doctors, engineers, or any other people in successful professions. Scientists, although they are very learned, very intelligent, and also very busy in their life in different research activities and teachings, still we find them living a simple and economic life. A famous Russian writer, Leo Tolstoy, once wrote that a writer is not merely a person who writes, a writer is a person who cannot live without writing. The author says that same is true for a scientist. For a scientist, science is an exciting adventure where major reward comes from the discovery itself. So instead of big money, a scientist is very happy to get the freedom, camaraderie, and independence in the field that he works, and the honors and respect that you get from other people, and your promotion, it will completely depend on yourself. And you'll be so excited when you uncover the nature's mysteries through various researches. This is what drives the scientist to just get going in his profession. So even if he doesn't earn much money, he is very happy and satisfied in his work. Also, he loves to work with like-minded people together, putting their thoughts into creative action. It was 1960 at that time when the Cold War was going on in this world. At that time, the writer was in Moscow and he was doing research on the theory of seismic waves, that is, the tremors in the earth generated by an earthquake. He was absorbed in his problem and was enjoying the mathematical challenge. He had never realized at that time that his recent study in this field will connect with the real life. At that time, there were three powerful nations: Soviet Union, United States, and the United Kingdom. These three nations were the most powerful in having nuclear weapons, and they all sat in a meeting behind closed doors. At that time, every man, woman, and child on this earth were very afraid that one day they'll have to die by nuclear weapon, because each superpower had more than enough nuclear bombs to destroy the lives of other people, and they were always looking for a cause to make the first attack. to show the world their nuclear power. It is said that during that time, it took 20 minutes for the rocket to reach their targets once they were released. So the opposing party had plenty of time to launch the retaliating strikes, which would destroy these rockets of their enemies only a few minutes later. This threat of mutually assured destruction, in short was called MAD, M-A-D, was the reason for protecting all of us from the nuclear war. So MAD, or mutually assured destruction, prevented these powerful nations to go into nuclear war at that time. So if they wanted to be the topmost power in the field of nuclear weapons, then they had to develop even stronger bombs, for which they had to do lots of research and testing on this earth. So after much thinking and mutual discussions, the three nuclear powers, they were a Soviet Union, United States, and the United Kingdom. These three nations were willing to come to an agreement putting a ban on the nuclear weapon test. So none of the countries in this world were allowed to test the new nuclear weapon. When no nuclear weapon would be made in this world, there would be no nuclear war. Thus, the war would be completely stopped. So in order to put this agreement into action, the technical experts were called to solve this problem. So the writer also received a message from the president of the Russian, then Soviet Academy of Sciences to reach the Palace of Nations in Geneva. The president of the Scientific Research Center presented Mr. Vladimir Borok a letter from Geneva. An American scientist, Frank Press, who wrote about his work when discussing with Moscow experts. Thus, to his great surprise, the author suddenly found himself in Geneva. Yes, through a meeting, the three power nations had mutually agreed that they will not test or make a new nuclear weapon at any cost. That was okay, but what if one of the participants had violated this agreement and secretly made an underground nuclear explosion in the case of testing it? So the problem at this point was, how can the other powers detect the violation? That was the problem they had to solve at that point. For this, they had invited Mr. Borok, the author of this essay, to Geneva. As it turned out that this problem had a direct connection with the theory of seismic waves. Underground nuclear explosions produced earth tremors very similar to those generated by earthquake. But how could one distinguish the natural tremors from the ones produced by the explosion? This the author had to solve. In this way, his theoretical knowledge had a direct application in the area of survival of the humankind. So the author was so happy that his scientific knowledge had come to a good use, that is for the betterment of humankind. This, he says, is the greatest satisfaction of becoming a scientist, which he cannot get from any other professions. Many scientists from different parts of the world were invited in that Geneva meet. They were able to work out a solution that finally allowed politicians to reach one of the most important decisions of their times. That was nuclear test ban. The author says that episode had taught him that as a scientist, he had people all over the world who thought and interacted the way he did. It also taught him that while there is science, there is hope of survival and well-being for all of us. The author says that scientists are the most practical people in the world. All new technologies, all new brands of industry, from defense to entertainment sector, they come from fundamental research. He talks about other examples such as antibiotics, electronics, biotechnology, synthetic fibers, the Green Revolution, and genetic forensic diagnosis, they all are the creations of science and scientific research. We know that only the basic research can give us new sources of energy, new mineral deposits, efficient defense from terrorism, cure from cancer, and new forms of transportation. People who are trained in just theoretical physics gets jobs in financial institutions, but those trained in core biological research become founders and directors in the pharmaceutical industry. So knowledge of basic science will help you in whatever career you choose. Now people have realized that the very survival of our civilization is threatened by the natural and man-made disasters. They are earthquakes, self-inflicted destruction of megacities, environmental catastrophes, economic and social crisis. Today, a massive release of radioactivity from a nuclear-based disposal, an earthquake in the mega city area, a sudden outburst of mass violence, or any other global disaster can cause millions of deaths of people, a vast destruction of properties, can make large part of our world uninhabitable, or it can trigger global economic depression, or can even bring a war in hot region. Such dangers keep on growing even though trillions of dollars are spent to solve these problems through all known techniques. The hope and the responsibility for finding solutions to these problems lies not on the money but on intellectual resources. There is a popular French proverb which says that nobody is satisfied with his wealth. Everybody is satisfied with his wisdom. This means that the basic scientific research we carry on to solve these problems are so effective in developing new disaster preparedness industries. The author says that scientific research is an exciting journey into the great unknown and the token or means of humankind's survival. It is the scientists who are always working with this challenge, and they are the only people who can ensure our safety. The author says that science is not the beginning and the end. If used properly and positively or humanistically for the betterment of human beings, an unavoidable guardian and caretaker of all human beings of this world. So I can say that through this essay, the author as a scientist is trying to show the importance of science and scientific research to the mankind.